Hello and welcome to the Cosmic Shift with Cyrus. This is Cyrus, and on today's video I want to talk about a very interesting channeled message I found online that relates to my own channeled messages, why it's important to cross-corroborate information. Very interesting UFO sighting. I wish I had more information about it, but if you even want to call this a sighting, it's really more like a mass contact. I keep thinking this might have happened in South America, but this relates to an image that was connected to a channeled message, which my team says is accurate. I'm going to dissect that. And I know it's been a little while since I put up a video. Very busy with my next book called The Cosmic Shift of Mankind. I am probably going to be less active yet still on YouTube while I push that book out, because it's a very important book coming at a critical time. Remember, I began as a fairly skeptical-minded paranormal researcher investigating the afterlife, and I ended up as an augmented clairaudient telepath who has a direct line of communication like others. The only thing that blocks it is what's called the psychic block. The psychic block is how an augmented telepath is not able to, for example, let me get your social security number, right? If we had that kind of power, then we'd be living in a psychicocracy. You'd have Uri Geller as supreme ruler of reality. No, that's not the way clairaudience operates. It actually operates as a direct communication where it's like, I can talk to you like, hey Minerva of Ashtar, how you doing? And then we can just chat and banter, because it turns out that when you have a augmented telepathic power, you're communicating the same way that they do beyond this world with each other. And it turns out that souls out there are not higher dimensional beings beyond our comprehension. They are actually people who have humor. They joke around. They are management, basically, but on a much, much bigger level. And basically you end up with countless miracles in your life and lots of contact experiences, so much else. So I want to just talk about this channeled message. I always like to bring people up to speed a little bit about who I am and the work I do, to understand that, this whole time I have been a researcher. I have my original books out. My old account was hacked. I still have afterlifetopics.com up for now, but my GoDaddy was hacked, so I cannot actually access my account information from my website, my old YouTube channel, my old Gmail, any of it. So all of it's being rebuilt. So if you subscribe to this channel right now, that will greatly help, because it's about rebuilding all of this. Because since I became a channeler, a telepath, well, it's a whole new perspective about this reality, other realities, other universes, places in the cosmos that we migrate into, and who is in charge, and a struggle to find accurate information online, because most information is kind of this way and kind of that way. So actually, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro so we can get a drink of water or something, and jump right back into it after we roll the intro. And we are back. So this is again Cyrus, and so let's go ahead and jump into it. So this is the channeled message I saw in Star Seed Origins, Pleiadian, Andromedan, Pegasian, Tau Ceti, and Eridanus. So as always, on the internet, it's kind of this mixed bag, right? So it's a mixed bag in the sense that channelings are going through people's subconscious minds, and they are interpreting it through their imaginations halfway, and then halfway it's the real thing. I'm not saying it's like this for Uma Kumari, who posted this, but in general, there's a collage of real information and then information that people are struggling to get through, and then they fill in the blanks. When you're a fully conscious channeler, it's different. Right now, telepathic augmented channeling is activating in lots of people, and with that, it's actually possible, including people in my private messenger group, who have direct one-on-one communications like me, and it's not that difficult to do. You can just activate it as long as your psyche allows you to do it. Now, I will help people learn telepathy. Email me, cosmicshiftawakening@gmail.com. I basically work just for donations. This whole thing is a non-profit endeavor. Okay, so in that regard, we have Uma Kumari posting on the Facebook group Starseed Origins, and I have seen things posted on this group that are not accurate, that my team says we need to be careful, because a lot of these messages are coming up the soul collectives who espouse ideas like good and evil are not real, it's all arbitrary, we're just on Earth playing roles, there's no such thing as evil forces. Any message that you ever see online anywhere by any alleged channeler who professes that idea is under the influence of a malignant power. Typically it is the hollow heavens, the fake soul collectives that put that idea, instill that idea into people's minds, because they want to be able to justify actions of cruelty, control, manipulation, to be able to siphon the power from people, to leech off of other people's magic, other people's energies. And they do this by constructing a narrative that we die, we go into the light, which would be a version of the light created by the hollow heavens, constructed by the Quakers and the Catholic fundamentalists and very, very strict religious Puritans, creating a psychic effect of creating what we would call a Bardo state. So these Bardo states infest the spirit realities. The spirit realities are not where we are supposed to go when we die. We're supposed to go into the higher densities, which are higher exalted versions of our own cosmos, as well as the entire multiverse. Now that I've caught you up to speed, let's take a look at this post real quick. My team tells me again this was a real contact event. I just don't have all the details because I'm seeing this image for the first time on this group. I just know that my team is saying, oh yeah, this really was the Galactic Federation of Light, and so we're going to go into what that's all about. So again, we were looking at this incredible pattern that appeared in the sky over a major city. And so, sorry if I'm moving around the screen too much. I know that can get a little bit headache-inducing. But yeah, very, very fascinating when you look at it. This is the caliber of contact events happening lately. Yeah, I wasn't even into the UFO stuff back then. You know, if you read my old books, I'm like poking at it with a stick. And then look what happens. I found out that it's like one of those Harry Potter moments. It's like, you're a wizard, Harry, and it's like, you're a telepath, Cyrus, and you're actually Andromedan, Starseed, Ashtari. It's like, I don't even know what any of that means. And I Google it. It's like, oh, crap, the Ashtar. Oh, you mean that Vrilon stuff from the 70s. It's like, wait, that's who I'm Ashtari, and I'm connected, and I'm a starseed by Minerva. It sounds like a bunch of new age hoopla to me. And then it just lands on top of me, and I end up basically becoming a telepath channel, because honestly it's so interesting and of extreme importance to humanity and the cosmos to get accurate messages out. And so limited audience, and I do what I do. Okay, so here's the message. Now let's go over this message through my contacts, which ultimately is the Galactic Federation of Light, but it's also the Ashtar, and it's also the Aldmar, the Aldebarans, the Magical Collectives, and the sixth density world of Shannara, which is a different universe from our own, that had done great battle against the Cabal. That whole universe is described accurately through quite a bit of material on Gaia TV. It's just people do not understand that these are parallel universes, parallel realities, that the battles against the Cabal and the Dracos, so much of this happens out there. Okay. Here we go. The first creator has already given the signal for the Galactic Federation of Light to begin appearing in the skies of the world in large numbers. What does that mean? Who is the first creator? This is a weird one for me because I'm trying to figure this one out. Because there isn't some Yahweh sitting on a throne. I think it's an interpretation of what we would mean the grand collective consciousness of all, which some people identify as God, essentially. Because the grand collective consciousness requires an alignment for them to land, not only on our planet, but for major changes to happen across the multiverse. So the grand collective consciousness is when civilizations across the endless trillions of universes can actually align and demand justice and demand our multiverse cosmos be taken back from evil hands, which has been the case. Actually, this entire operation has been about dating back millions of years, reasserting dominance through divine powers against evil injustice across the entire multiverse, with the arrival of higher divine forces able to return with karmic power. So that's what I understand. Okay, so on Earth, the collective psyche has to enable it, or else a ship cannot land. The only reason that there is a sighting like this is because the collective psyche begins to accept the existence, and if it does not accept the existence, the collective psyche will bombard a visitor with psychic energy, thus destroying that visitor. Okay, so here's the next sentence. They can now interact openly with people of the world. Yes, this is what I'm told. It's what I've experienced because I've actually met with people speaking in Aldebarani. I've met with people now who are like just under the surface from the higher density cosmos, hanging out. I know a girl down the street who works at a sandwich shop, and she was like practically telling me exactly who she really was, which is part of the Archangelic Order, just hanging out in my city, waiting until they can start revealing themselves even more openly with the public without a collective psyche meltdown, which is what would normally happen. People would quit their jobs, no one could go to work anymore, people would completely lose their minds or actually have mass anxiety and mass hysteria. So the entire shift has been about integrating the collective consciousness. How does it integrate? By you watching this video, as well as people are reading this message. Okay. Yes, it's called the Galactic Revelation, sure, or you could call it the Ascension event, which is not what people think it is. I'm sorry, dear David Wilcock, no one is going to shoot up through the roof because of a solar event that happens or Sam Vardic fire. All of these are misinterpretations. The 5D Ascension event is essentially just our planet arriving to meet their worlds, which are displaced into a different cosmos from our own. Okay. They will no longer wait on the governments of the world to do the disclosure. They themselves will, because the governments of the world could theoretically have done it, but we've been under secret occult freaking secret society nonsense for, I would say, dating back to, I don't know, biblical times. Different competing secret societies everywhere trying really hard to gain control of Gaia. Why does every weirdo ever want to control Gaia Earth? Because it's called a world of power. Our silly little planet is a world of power, which means if you are born upon this world, even that manager you hate so much, people have the potential to be deity level power. It's where a soul manifests and is born and sprouted up. They are the byproduct of whatever that reality is. Earth is a planet that was embedded with extreme divine karmic power to be a great elder planet of the cosmos, and things went horribly wrong. Just look at the Dark Ages of the Middle Ages. Or I should say, just that's a redundancy. Look at the Middle Ages, look at the Dark Ages, look at the church, look at the religious wars, look at the Crusades, look at the secret societies and the cabal that manifested extreme satanic power on Earth. Look where all that landed us. Not in good shape at all. Okay. The entire world will be able to see giant screens, monitors in the sides of those motherships, light ships, that will convey some messages to the entire world, very similar to what we see on our TV channels today. The answer to this is sure at some point, because my team makes it clear if that were to just happen, the collective psyche would fall apart. What has to happen first is slow, gradual contacts by them hanging out at our bars, going to, just hanging out and working at our jobs, talking to people, and saying, hey, I'm Ashtari, I'm Aldebaran, nice to meet you, and integrating the consciousness, because this would cause a complete meltdown. So our dear channel, I think, got this part wrong in terms of not adding a timeline. So would this eventually happen where we see something like this and then this ship fully lands? I want to ask my team what ship this is. Okay, my team tells me that this ship is from a universe called Espina. I know this universe very well. It's part of my soul collective. It also includes groups like the Pegasians, who are very popular online. And it's a beautiful cosmos that have long been the kind of like, I guess you could call them the guardians of our world. And they've long wanted, or they've long desired to see incredible change on Gaia. So when would the Espinians or the Pegasians and whoever was represented by this ship, when can they just land and start doing this type of thing? Hell if I know, because it has to be a slow, gradual integration process, or that image I just showed you would lead to basically everything falling apart. No one could handle it. You can't just jump into the deep end of the pool. Okay, now would they show messages? Wouldn't even be necessary at that point, because those messages, I mean, remember the Vrilon broadcast in 1977 from Vrilon of Ashtar? Well, that's real. Vrilon, I've communicated with Vrilon, and he took over the radio stations back in 1977, one of the most verified paranormal events in history. They'll do stuff like that if they want to, but they're more likely to just integrate slowly into our culture. And some people around the world will be invited to climb aboard the ships and meet the galactic higher civilizations in person. Not from our universe. Let's always keep that in mind. It's a higher density universe. It's not necessarily our galaxy. Sick will receive free healing treatment. Again, we have to be specific here. It's not like we have to wheel people on a spaceship for healing. No, they would integrate their healing technology across the world with the advent of what we call med beds, which are cryonics. What they do is you go into a med bed and it promotes cellular regeneration, like in gestation. When a fetus develops a brain and arms and tissue, it reverts your cells back to that gestation stage and you begin regenerating. I am told it's simple technology. I have schematics. If anyone wants to build one, email me, cosmicshiftawakening, and we could skip the line. So no, this is in essence what they're saying is true, but it's not like you have to put people on a wheelchair and put them onto a UFO. No, people wouldn't be able to handle that. People couldn't process that kind of reality. And some people around the world, true, the people who can handle it will be allowed access to go on these ships. And let's see, for now and henceforth, there'll be no further delays to the galactic disclosure, which means the end is near. It's exactly what my team says. The Galactic Federation of Light includes Vrilon, Chiron of Ashtar, and a bunch of these others. There's a guy named, he begins with a D, like Decius or something like this. I've seen him on the internet. I've communicated to him once. And these guys, these are the Ashtari magical collectives who are on the internet all over the place and have been for a long time. I apologize if I didn't get that guy's name right. I'll do a fix later on. They've been on the internet for a long time, and their messages are usually like half accurate, half inaccurate. Sometimes those hollow heaven soul collectives are interfering with messages, messing up the message, but they tell me the same thing. Because remember, they're also part of the Earth Alliance. So when we talk about the Galactic Federation of Light, it could mean different things. The Galactic Federation of Light, which are the magical, mystical collectives of the Ashtar, of the Andromedans, who are also the Ashtari, and these days, because of a massive peace agreement, also the Aldmari. And that's a big deal. There's hundreds of millions of Aldmari, human, beautiful planets. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay. So it could be the Galactic Federation of Light, literally speaking. It could also be the Earth Alliance, which is ran by the Archangelic Order and the sixth density planet of Shaynara. It could also be the Galactic Federation of the Milky Way galaxy, which is a civilization known as the Marmu people. They have like purple skin and kind of interesting mouths that are kind of segmented. It's hard to describe. I've seen them visually before. And they are a massive diplomatic, I would say, political organization that manages things in the higher densities of the Gemini galaxy, which is the true name of our galaxy. The Earth Alliance is based in a different cosmos than our own, which is the cosmos that so many of us actually migrate into after we die. And it has been documented before by insiders, and I think the first inklings of that cosmos leaking in experiences with groups like the Anshar came about actually through the insider Corey Good, Cosmic Disclosure. Okay. Same thing my team says, this does not mean that Earth is doomed. It doesn't mean that all life as we know it will cease. It doesn't mean there will be a great cataclysm. Instead, it is the end of the experiment that has been done on Earth. That experiment has been the siphoning of Gaia Earth power, which means extraterrestrials. That includes the Zeta with the weird gray, the weird looking guys with the almond eyes. I say weird looking because the Arcturians make it clear the Zeta Reticuli were up to no good. I say were because they have been arbitrated. Their civilization is now under complete lockdown. It means so many more civilizations and beings from everywhere monitoring, trying to hybridize humans, and trying to figure out why humans born on Earth at Ashtari Aldebarani colony are so powerful. Because all these civilizations from the multiverse want a piece of that power. And the experiment has been going on for a while. And end time allowed for the Anunnaki and reptilians to rule this world. So, have they been? The Anunnaki were the ones responsible for what the internet and our mythologies know as Atlantis. The real name of Atlantis was Shuravaya. And Shuravaya was an Anunnaki colony established about 30,000 years ago. And this is where people argue. It's like, well, on the internet it said it's 500,000 years ago. And it wasn't called Shuravaya. It was called blah, blah. And see, this is where we start splitting hairs and people online begin disagreeing. I can just tell you exactly what my team says, knowing full well there is a lot of misinformation, but I have crazy Cyrus journalism power to cut through that misinformation. Elements of Atlantis has been accurately described on Gaia TV, ruled by what some call the pre-Adamites. They have big, tall heads like this. And these are the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki wanted to study the power of Earth and essentially understand the secret mysteries of Earth. The Anunnaki, the real name of them is the Rino Tomo. And the Anunnaki, have they ruled the world? No. The Anunnaki have had a massive presence in the sixth density plus cosmos, where the world of Shaynara is, also known as the Anunnaki cosmos. The Anunnaki were massively arbitrated and had the risk of descending upon our world and our cosmos as one of the great prime threats. But they have been cut down to size after a lot of crazy stuff that's happened, and they are an ally of Shaynawa, I'm pronouncing it weird, Shaynara, and the Archangelic Order, and the Earth Alliance. So we can't fall into this thinking of everything is black and white. They're evil. These guys, no. The Anunnaki had warring factions, warlord tribal factions, and they had to be put under control. There was a war against them. But the Anunnaki are also fun people. I sync to them mentally. I know a bunch of them, including some of their rulers, and they're big, happy, fun guys. They're like, my name is whatever it might be. And, they'll be very enthusiastic, bombastic, really like bright personalities. So we can't just be like the Anunnaki are evil. No, they were just one of the major factions trying to figure out the Earth Gaia weapon system of collective psyche power that's so powerful. The reptilians. Here's where you all David Icke out. The Queen was never a reptile. They are not shapeshifters, but there can be. We are talking about what is known on the internet as the Draco reptilian empire, allies of the cabal. If you go online, you hear the testimonies of Tony Rodriguez, Corey Good, a whole bunch of them, Daryl James, Johann Fritz. You will hear about encounters with the Dracos. Penny Bradley is another one. One of the most terrifying civilizations to ever manifest in all creation, the Draco reptilian empire. Could they shapeshift and manifest as people? The answer is yes, because they're that powerful. But they were not always doing it on this world. There's other Earths with matching civilizations to our own that we can migrate into on higher densities, where the Draco reptilians posed the most threat and caused the most problems, and posed as people and governments. And certain channelers were getting information from those higher density planets without realizing it was not this planet. This is information from different planets. The Draco reptilians have only ever had a minimal presence on this world, but a potential to cause massive problems for us because they were aligned allies of the cabal. And the cabal used them, and they used the cabal, and they were the most horrific warring empire in the cosmos, with all of their masses having partaken in an uprising to kick out their evil rulers. And now the Dracos, who are still around, are allies of the Earth Alliance, and they're very lovely people who I have communicated to after they deposed their evil rulers who did threaten Earth and in a sense controlled the world, because the cabal controlled the world. They are allies of the cabal, which is why this message is saying that these reptilian beings ruled the world. They ruled it in a sense with the cabal in a slightly subliminal fashion, but their presence was out there. Now it's not. Okay. Boy, this is a lot of new age ET world mumbo jumbo to talk about. This is what happens when you become an augmented telepath and you start learning. I would have never imagined this as me 2 years ago. But the spiritual hierarchy decided that, wait a second, what time is it? I have to go to an appointment later. Yeah. But the spiritual hierarchy decided to extend it to make room for preparation for the people of this world and to allow the secret controllers of this world a chance to give up and surrender. All that has been happening. I've chronicled that on reddit.com/r/Afterlife Topics with messages about this whole process. That weather will finally be over for sure next year. That's what my team says. The main creator, as well as the spiritual hierarchy, have already decided, which is the grand collective cosmic consciousness of all, has decided to go ahead and allow higher density forces, which this channel calls galactics, to interact directly with the people of this world. What's missing here? Just a bit of detail that the only way that could have been done is through many complicated processes of integrating the collective psyche to allow it. It also means that every human being on Earth will have the chance to find out exactly where in the universe they came from in terms of galactic origins. And each human DNA is an embedded code that identifies it for heritage. What this means is the truth that the majority of people on Earth are not from Earth, because there's people from civilizations that wanted to be on Earth, sometimes for the wrong reasons, because they want to be born onto a world and absorb the world's power. They want their body to be born into a reality. Whereupon, what happens is that it's like you are brought into this world of Gaia, this power system. So it might just seem like you're at Chuck E. Cheese and there's a waitress, but that waitress at Chuck E. Cheese who goes back and lives in a one-bedroom apartment with a boyfriend and watches Netflix might be a ancient Andromedan who is on Earth to absorb Earth's power and become the next cosmic queen. And this is why so many people on Earth have a little bit of an ego problem. My past life was a guy named Hashi, who was like an author in the universe of Espina, on a very normal human world and just a really normal cool dude. So it's like my cosmic lineage is just people. Other people have a cosmic lineage where they're empresses and queens and kings and galactic rulers from gosh knows where, who all want to incarnate on Earth, which is sometimes, incidentally, one of the worst ideas ever, because life on Earth is so difficult it can drive people crazy. Okay. So every human will have the chance to find out where they really came from, and then we will have choices to decide if we want to integrate back into that or not. For me, if I wanted to, I could, but I already integrated into some of my past life memories and just like, whatever, cool. Because I'm not some cosmic space queen or king, but a lot of people I know are. And how do you interpret that? If you are of a kind of cosmic hierarchy, by humbling the hell down and repeating what the archangelic order tells me, is that if you're in doubt, go on Google and type in the Beatitudes. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, and go straight back to divinity and realize we were a sad, broken planet, a powerful weapon system built by the archangel Ariel. However, we should not identify with being cosmic god kings of reality, coming to Earth to gain power. We should all work on being humanitarians, to help each other out, and to be part of a new order that some people call New Eden, which is put together by cosmic forces that have come to right the wrongs of eons of cosmic injustice within the multiverse, which is also the realities we go to after death, which are so amazing and so wondrous. If you were to step into those realities, you would call it heaven. You wouldn't even think twice. You would say, I'm in heaven, and that's it. And these are the places we often go to in out-of-body experiences and astral travel and things of that nature. Is not actually the astral plane, because the mental realities are not the places we go to. Do you think a ship like this, an Espinan spacecraft like this, exists in a mental reality where it's a big dream world? No, it's higher density magical realities where ships like this can come from and are extraordinary looking. But they live up there, and you know what they do? They brush their teeth and they live, they still live physical existences. So when you see online information that our higher reality space brothers and sisters exist as formless beings of light, again, misinformation. They can manifest as formless beings of light. They can become those types of things. It does not mean that they are those things. So be very wary of information online that dehumanizes visitors, because they always tell me to warn Cyrus, warn your audience about it. We are not formless light beings, except we can be if we want to be, depending on someone's skill set up here. But at the end of the day, we live up here in our real lives. So that's a very, very important message, because if we think of them that way, then we cannot comprehend them, relate to them, or even be friends with them, because they're up here, we're down here. How do we bridge that gap? That's what they want to do. Why do channels say that? Because sometimes people's messages are hijacked by hollow heavens who have an ulterior motive to worship and venerate anything as beyond our physical reality and so transcendent, 12th dimensional, whatever, that it's absolutely beyond our comprehension. We should just venerate them as holy masters and never question, never think twice, just maintain. Just maintain that state of veneration, and just, I'm not worthy, like Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World. I'm not worthy. That's what a lot of the soul collectives want people to think about contact. Why? Because they're freaking Quakers and Puritans from the 1600s invading people's channeled messages, but not this one. Let's see. Okay, so now the Galactic Federation of Light, which is real, says what I know. We came from the Pleiades. Pleiadians are beautiful, empathic souls with almond eyes, very beautiful. Atlantis, sure, but if we say Atlantis, we were talking about ancient Hindi as well as ancient Atlantis, Anunnaki. Sure, we have Anunnaki, but they also kind of bash the Anunnaki here too. So it's like there's this a little bit of cross-wired information. Sirius, I don't know much about the Syrians. Lemurians, that's related to Surabaya, the Atlantean colonies. Andromeda, this is the big one. In our higher density cosmos, the Andromedans of the Ashtar and the Aldmari, ruled by goddess Minerva, goddess Milandiros. Very troubled civilization that have beautiful mystical collectives that have long been around the world. Ashtari civilization is not dissimilar to Russians. I call them the space Russians. Okay, who's missing here? The Aldebarans are missing. The space Romans, as I call them. Alpha Centauri, yeah. Arcturians, big one, little blue people, almond eyes, great sense of humor. Mushaba, I don't know much about them. And the emphasis is on humans, but that's especially true of animals as well. When a full galactic disclosure is conducted globally, mass convergence, there will be a reorientation and re-education of the people of this world to their true histories, which is needed. Some people are like, what about Star Trek? The Prime Directive. Prime Directive doesn't apply to a planet where most of the population are reincarnations of higher beings from gosh knows where. A planet under terrifying evil control by the Cabal, by the Draco reptilians and other factions trying to control Gaia and turn it into a weapon system of hell. You see, what I like about this message is that our channel here named Uma Kumari, if this is the Uma's message, I believe it is not shying away from the existence of evil. Again, anytime you hear a message, well, evil and good and evil are subjective and relative terms because we are all one with the Creator, and evil simply goes back when it's done playing the role because we all learn from each other. No, that is actually these evil forces implanting that message into channeled messages as a way to mind control the population into believing that evil is subjective and not real. Anytime you see that message, it is called Satanism. I'm just putting it out there. This also means that galactic travel will become possible. Oh boy. I have had manifestation experiences on spaceships. I've been taken. Everything you can name. That's me these days. I'm like this weird pastiche these days of like Carlos Castaneda without the actual ingestion of like psychedelics combined with like out-of-body travel and all of it being brought about going into higher density realities being manifested, having like two versions of me, one here, one up there. Like, there's so much weird, crazy stuff in my life. But the thing is, when you're around beautiful Pleiadians and beautiful Andromedans, and the Archangelic Order, Arcturians, you can't go wrong because they're all funny and sweet and they never overwhelm you with more than you can handle. You always have fun, cool, sweet experiences constantly. Okay, Sovereign Redneck Renegade shared by John Sante. So I want to make clear real quick because I want to make sure that this channeled message is coming from the right source, because sometimes people repost things. So Uma Kumari shared this post, but I don't think that's the one necessarily who authored it. It might really be Jean Sunte, who has a nice image. I mean, this stuff kind of seems corny, but the truth is that the Archangelic Order is out there. When you let angels into your life, you'll feel, yeah. And people who are connected to that are connecting to actual literal angelic beings who are the curators of the multiverse and manifest with actual wings. So whether this post came about from this guy or whether it came, I'm going to say it's probably this guy because this guy's a channeler. And welcome to the 5D shift. That's what it is, the fifth density shift. That's what they all talk about. Okay, I'm just reading a little bit more from this guy. When the 5D shift happens, which is the fifth density shift, again, it's our universe, our world, turning into fifth density, which again, just means we get to be a baseline universe, because this whole lower density thing is an anomaly. We're lower density. It means my team defines it as a rusty bicycle. We can barely even move around. Our density structure of our body is so bad we can't even feel energy and magic around us. It's like our whole world is completely screwed up. The shift is really just about polishing up a rusty bicycle. Okay, I'm just taking a look at this guy's posts, because he posts other things, it looks like, from other channels, and because I'm trying to find accurate info, right? It's difficult because you'll find that misinformation stuck in. But when they're talking about real stuff, it's like you know it. We talk about the light body, the Kundalini activation. A lot of this stuff is real, but we have to always remember what the Arcturians tell us is always avoid mind worship. Focus on the heart, not gaining power. If we focus too much on raising Kundalini power, higher dimension, and gaining power throughout our body, that's the power to manifest ourselves, to become a light being, and then to manifest back into being a physical being. All kinds of wild, magical power. But you can do all that, but what matters is, where is your morality, your Holy Spirit power? Where is your sense of ethics and love for others? Because you do not just gain that through gaining the power of the mind. You can gain the power of the mind as a tool, but you must gain the power of the heart, which you gain from living a life in the Holy Spirit, as they say. So we should always be careful of messages as well that are just focusing on ascension into a higher frequency, because that does not, again, we go back to that same false light teaching that I told you about, is essentially Satanism, which is that once we ascend up, we are cured of all our problems. So Heinrich Himmler, the Nazi war chief, is actually up there, and he's now an ascended master floating around, because all you have to do is expand your mind, and now you're an angelic being. No, that's blasphemy. It doesn't work like that. It's about the heart. It's about the soul. It's about being a wonderful person. It's not about expanding. You can expand your mind and gain extraordinary power and higher frequency and all these things, but that's not the Holy Spirit. That's an aspect of the ascension of power, which we can go on that path and gain power and gain the powers that they have. But what do we do with those powers? Do we take care of each other? Do we, sympathize with the plight in North Korea and freaking Guatemala, Central America, Ecuador, Venezuela, where there's massive poverty, massive issues? We need to, focus upon that and put everything else aside, and so that's very important as well. Okay, the thymus gland, known as the heart chakra, is located toward the back of your neck. Okay, so they're talking also about the God switch, the supernal realities, things like that, which is all true. It's all stuff that's accessible, but it's not something that takes you against your will, or you become this, you become some being like this. Like no one's going to, against their will, turn into some light being that looks like whatever we're looking at right now. These are all manifested powers that can activate in people if they want to go study and learn how to be a wizard, how to have incredible power and do extraordinary things. But there's no such thing as everybody activating and ascending into light bodies. Never. Our civilization could never handle that. The Ashtari Andromedans sit around, watch TV. They have Ashtari soap operas. There was an Ashtari TV show about a woman named Winarasa who, it's like a fantasy Lord of the Rings type of thing. I mean, that's their actual life. They don't sit around looking like this. So this is where, I don't know what this is. It's just that, we can think about things in the mystical spectrum, in the astral and spirit reality spectrum, or even something like this. But this is, no one's. Whoops, where was I? I think I actually disconnected myself for a moment there. Anyway. Now I have to splice this darn video together. Okay, so really that's it. Very important lessons to remember. All I can tell you is that, it's like we all need to look very critically at these messages. This particular message, whoever wrote it, was pretty accurate. But remember, you can be a telepath yourself as well. That's the funny thing. All right, anyway, so this is Cyrus. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Stay in touch. Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics on Facebook is a nice place to do it. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.